This next video comes from Dustaroo, which is a content creator we watch pretty frequently at this point because their video content and quality is very good. Very, very good. Very, very spectacular. So now more than ever, please make sure you click that link that just showed up in the Twitch chat. And if you're watching this on YouTube on the Future Zone, make sure you click down in the description below to subscribe and like this video because this creator is very, very great and we love them to death. And we want to support their numbers, their stats, because if there's anything you learn about being a content creator is numbers drive you crazy. So make their numbers nice. Make their numbers sweet and amazing. Make them feel good. Make them feel like they're putting out really, really good, awesome stuff. Do it all or come for you, OAO. But yeah, this video in particular is about how to rework Michael Myers. Good old shape, because I think Myers is the worst character in the game. When you take away Tombstone from him, he is the weakest character in the game. I think Trapper, throwing somebody in the basement, or even just a very congested corner of the map, has better snowball than Myers does. Better snowball than Myers does, and that's kind of like why I think Trapper is not the worst. I think the worst is Myers minus Tombstone. And that's after he was my first main, so I have a lot of time on this character. He's the only characters in the game where you can run out of your power. You can just run out of your power. Even Oni has periodic blood that will pop up regardless of the fact if you've injured somebody or not. And while realistically, I don't really run out of my powers like ever playing this character. One of the redeems on my channel, if you guys don't watch me on Twitch, oh, that's a funny thing to say for you guys who are actively here during the recording. Is I don't really run out. I don't really run out of my power. But what does happen is that I completely drain a survivor, like one or two survivors on the team, and then I just keep running into them instead of the people that actively have stock still left in them, and then I can't enter my power. So my power is not run out, but stalled. That's realistically what happens. My power runs out, but it's stalled. It's kind of similar to like the argument that people make with Hillbilly, is that like overheat's a bad mechanic because I don't want to overheat. Realistically, I have not overheated in like 5 months or more. Like I have not actually overheated in a very, very long time, even before the update where they kind of made it a little bit more lenient. But I do look at my bar and make decisions based on my overheat getting close to overheating that I shouldn't be making. I am hindered by the fear that I will overheat, even if I actually don't. So Myers is in a similar situation where, am I actually running out of my power? No, but my power gets stalled and delayed a lot. Which is not great because no other character really has that problem. Like, maybe you played him a lot when you first started. Maybe you played him a lot because he was the first killer you saw. He's what got me into the game. He's what got me. That's why I played Dead by Daylight, because like literally look, I literally have the Halloween VHS as like a wall scroll. Well, not a wall scroll, but like a wall tapestry over there. Like, it's my favorite horror movie of all time. I love it to death. So when I found out that I could play as the most iconic character to me in all of horror, I was like, hell yeah, get me in there. So that's what got me into the game. And I mained him. He was my main character. Like, you know how guys, like, you know how like nowadays, like it's probably more like Wesker, where like every other game's Wesker or Oni for me. That's how I was with Myers back in the day. It was like Myers was like almost every game was Myers. There was a specific time where I only played the game to play Myers. It was like a little Halloween simulator for me. So like, that's why in my my Twitch, when we still have that redemption for very, very low points to play Myers, because it's like a callback. It's like a callback to like the good old days back when he was my main. Like it's essentially make me play my old main point redemption. That's kind of like the meme. But the point I was trying to make with that is that like he is, I know very intimately that he is one of the weakest characters in the game. The way I would fix him, All Ranakan and I, who is actually more well known for being a Wesker main, came up with a pretty good idea together. Was that we kind of give aspects of Doctor to Myers, because Myers' whole thing is he's stalking people and making people paranoid and afraid the entire film and every movie he's in. Until like he essentially like gets to a point of no return where he's actually hunting them down and killing off the teenagers. So I wanted to, or we wanted to kind of like implement that it's like the more stock that is drained from you, you have effects applied to you. Like you have debuffs applied to you. Something like a paranoia system, and as opposed to like a madness system. Miso is rating me. I didn't want to finish my thought though. Which was that Anyways, we're trying to like get Myers to have a paranoia system, like a debuff system that like over time, as you get stock drained, you would have debuffs applied to your character, or some sort of paranoia system similar to Doctor. But I would want it to be a little bit stronger than Doctor's, because Doctor's paranoia madness system is kind of like very meh. So I would want it to be a little bit more potent. And also it would fix his problem of running out of stock on a character, because if the survivors had some sort of mechanic to like replenish the evil within them, like the stock on those actual characters, that would give Myers more abilities to enter more opportunities to enter tier 3, but it would also be an incentive on the survivors to avoid having the paranoia effects applied to them. So it would kind of be a win-win for both people. More interactivity while facing Myers for the survivors, but Myers also no longer runs out of his power. Ta-da! Seems like a good fix. Doesn't regenerate by now? Yeah, it's weird. As a base change, it should replenish. Why doesn't, I don't know. Like stock regenerates right away, or you have to do it manually somehow. Maybe it's while he's away, Genview, or maybe it's like, maybe it's something active that they have to do, like Madness where you have to break out. Maybe you got to do something altruistic. I don't know. Some way that you have to replenish it, or that you to get rid of the effect. Yeah, bare minimum, like let Myers get his stock back. But I think it would be great if we had a paranoia system to make losing, like not having stock on you or getting stared at by Myers, like have adverse effects.
How do you do? I'm Dustaroo. Welcome to my first part of my killer rework series, where I'm going to be updating a few select killers of the roster. And the reason we are reworking some of these killers ranges drastically from them being uninteresting, unloved, outdated, or straight up not very strong at all. We're going to be starting off with the killer
Myers a hacker at this point.
The most. The Jesus of Dead by Daylight.
No, Jesus.
Michael Myers.
One of the big men upstairs. Banana, banana, banana.
Michael is horror's most famous slasher, being easily recognizable to most people, even those who don't even like the genre. He is the Michael Jackson of horror. Whether you like him or hate him, you know him. Fittingly, he's also the first licensed character to exist in Dead by Daylight, being added all the way back on October 25th, 2016.
2 videos about this chapter, back-to-back, interesting.
Released post-launch. And it shows. If I were to open up the dictionary and jump to the term outdated, there would be a full-faced photo of Mikey Boy here.
And Trapper.
The secondary definition of the Trapper. Which is honestly a shame for the—
You know what I find is funny is like Trapper, a lot of Trapper's problems could be fixed by making a lot of his add-ons base kit. If you think about it, a lot of the problems that Trapper has, he has his add-ons, right? Like people are like, wait, if you get stuck in a trap, why do you just get to get RNG and get out? It's like, well, he has an add-on that if you get out, it hits you. So like, that's a thing. Hey, I wish he could carry more traps. He has that as an add-on. I wish he started the match with all his traps. That's an add-on. I wish that his traps were darker by default. It's an add-on. You know, like, they fixed the character, or not fixed the character, but they made the character better, but they made you run stuff. And the problem is you can only run 2. Realistically, you would be running like 4 or 5 add-ons to fix this character, but you can only run 2, and that's kind of the issue.
Most influential horror character in history, and depending who you talk to, myself included, is the only reason Dead by Daylight exists today. Or even existed for very long after launch.
Yeah, because now
ever see
it'd be like if Smash Brothers was like, it's why you see so many like Smash clones like fall off really hard. Because like Smash is a fun game, like Smash Bros is a fun game, but it's also a big IP fest. It's a huge IP fest, and that's why people get invested in it. So when you have like a knockoff, it can be fun, and often they're not. But like they fall off pretty hard because like people are interested in the IPs. They're not interested in the like the casual audience is interested in the IPs. The casual audience is not interested in the gameplay. They're interested in the IPs. That's why even like competitors to Smash, like Rivals of Aether, they end up getting like Shovel Knight and stuff. It's because like they know how the formula goes. Yeah, PlayStation All-Stars and Multiverses, like those weren't fun games to play. I'm gonna be real. That was like They may have had IPs, but those games were clunky and awful. They felt like garbage. Garbage. They felt like garbage to play. They were clunky. So, like, yeah, well, Batman's in it, but, like, it felt terrible to play. So, like, okay.
Michael, unless you're new to the game, who is not running some niche build like Super Vaults, Scratched Mirror, or even Tombstone Insta-Kill builds.
Yeah, it's basically
Myers,
Tombstone or nothing.
outside of a very select few and limited situations, could be considered one of the worst characters in all of
Outside of
Dead by
Tombstone, he is.
Daylight. Go look at your favorite Dead by Daylight content creator, and if they have made a killer tier list, no, they're a Dead by Daylight content creator. Go check out their killer tier list.
Sure.
Everyone has one at this point. And more than likely,
I haven't done
Michael
one since
is
Soul
going
Merchant.
to be in the bottom 5 of their killers.
He'd
And
be the worst in the
very
game for me.
least, he does not crack bottom 10. And if he does, I would recommend going elsewhere for your killer opinion.
I mean, theoretically, he's the best killer in the game if you run Tombstone. Like, there's nobody who can mori somebody without a single hook. There's nobody who can do that. No one. But outside of that, I don't know.
So after all is said and done, I honestly think for such an icon as Michael Myers being basically a punchline by the very survivors he's stalking is a tragedy.
Yeah, Nurse
In
can't
fact,
insta-mori
it's a
people. She
crime.
can't do that.
And if something is not done about it soon, I may have to find a lawyer on his behalf and sue Behavior Interactive for the crime of defamation.
Mm-hmm.
At the very least, Michael is responsible for the game existing in the way it has to become the powerhouse it is today, often regarded as the Hall of Fame of horror.
Yeah.
He helped lend some credibility that would eventually lead into attracting licenses like Resident Evil and Alien, and I think he deserves a little reparations. So that's what this video is.
Yeah, both
gonna
him
be
and Freddy
all
are like
about,
that. Some of the most
making Michael
popular,
a
like,
genuine
horror
fear
slashers of all
to the
time, and they're just terrible.
My philosophy going into these rework videos is going to go as following. And number 1, the most important rule, staying true to the character. Making sure that their power and these changes feel in line with how the character is to their theatrical counterparts is very important.
And it wasn't with
Rule number
Freddy,
2
apparently.
is the attempt to keep as much of the killer's original power within the kit as possible. For those who enjoy the character...
It's behavior not caring. I think it's behavior not caring about him. Honestly. It's like, here's the deal. Here's the deal. Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween as chapters will always sell regardless of the quality of the character because they're big IPs. I'm a perfect example. I bought the game solely so I could play this character. Doesn't matter if he's terrible. They are going to make their money regardless, just because it's such a big IP. Do they have to? No, not really. They're going to make their money either way. Yeah, most questions in life boil down to follow the money trail. If the money trail stops at any given point, that's where the interest stops for a company.
For the way it is now, but making them feel better, stronger, and more appealing to more players. Rule number 3, making these changes realistic and possible for behavior to implement. To add as little new assets and effects as possible to the power so that these changes could be rather simple to implement into the game. But new assets and effects will be necessary at some points, but I will try to keep them as a rarity.
I think it would be really cool, like, because, like, I just had a really good idea while just sitting here. Like, we were talking about the paranoia system earlier. Like, the one of the funny things about doctors that he gets little fake doctors everywhere. One of the things Myers does throughout the entire movie, like all the movies he's in, is he stalks you from behind a corner, and that's like what he does, like from behind a hedge or something. It'd be cool if just like every once in a while, as part of like his paranoia, that like a Myers appears specifically at like the edge of a corner, but it's just him just standing there, because that encourages everybody to like get off the gen and like freak out, like, oh god, he's staring at us, and run. But he's not. It's not the real him. He's just somewhere else. You know, like, because like if a fake doctor's near you, as long as he's not on top of you, it doesn't matter. So that makes that facet of his power kind of useless. But if a Myers is staring at you from far away, he's actively gaining his power, which is a bad thing, which is something you want to avoid. So that fits way more on Myers than it does on Doctor, because there's an in-game threat to having a Myers stare at you, whereas Doctor's, you know, fake doctoring like 2 rooms down. You're like, hi, as long as that thing doesn't walk at me, I'm good. You know, like that would fit way more on Myers. Way more on Myers.
Finally, our final and 4th rule, attempting to make the power level of the killer overall higher, but still leaving counterplay and agency for survivors. I prioritize fun over power, but understand power is important to having fun with a killer. Okay,
Yeah, the illusory doctors
set
kind
the
of don't
ground
have a
rules.
purpose.
Let's get into
Realistically,
new
they're kind of
and
just
improved.
if illusory doctors disappeared off Doctor tomorrow, nobody would notice. Like, it's the most useless facet of that character's kit.
The shape's power is the evil within. Activating evil within allows the shape to see his prey clearly and build up more evil power by stalking them. The shape collects evil to reach various tiers ranging from 1 to 4 and can be activated at any time.
You know, it'd be a cool idea too. I just realized this. I'm having a whole bunch of ideas watching this video, and then we haven't really said much yet. What if we took away the glass shards as add-ons? Like the okay, you get a little bit of like a baby scratch mirror after you're done stalking somebody, and add that to the paranoia system. Like, the more stalked you are, the more your aura is revealed when you disappear behind a corner. Take that trapper idea, give some of his add-ons base, but tie it to the paranoia system so it's earned. Because those add-ons are not good enough to ever be run. They're terrible. They're dog. But if there's just a funny little part of his base kit that you earn through stalking people, and that's fun for object users because they're like, okay, well, he has that. He has that perk. Or yeah, he's in this I'm at this level of paranoia, and now I know how to loop around him.
Time to activate said current tier. Once a tier is fully reached, you cannot activate the previous tier. Any leftover evil that was not converted into a tier will be kept on reset to tier 1.
Wait, we're reset
In
to tier 1?
summary, Michael can stalk the survivors to collect evil. As he collects evil, it fills the bottom left bar as it does now. Once tier 2 and above is reached, it can be activated at any time, similar to Oni's Blood Fury. Doing so will trigger the current tier Michael is on. These tiers that can be activated are 2 to 4, and each has special unique powers.
Oh, so you willingly move between tiers. It's not just something that happens. You willingly move between tiers. Oh, okay. Continue.
Collect the same amount of evil regardless of distance from the survivors. This means if a survivor is 5 meters in front of you or 25 meters in front of you, you will collect the same amount of evil if you are stalking them.
Well, that's a nice
survivors can be stalked at once. Survivors
performing... Most people don't even know that's a thing, but it shows you how little people actually understand this character. Yeah, it prioritizes whoever's the closest. If you didn't know that. Even if there's multiple survivors, like, in front of you, it only picks one. You're not stalking multiple survivors at any given point. It just picks one. So, yeah, it's not a thing. You didn't know that.
Conspicuous actions give off double the amount of evil they regularly would.
That's smart.
This does not stack with add-ons and will only give 50% base no matter.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense trying to be
Survivors
the opposite.
gain 1% of their total evil every 5 seconds.
Hey, there you go.
This takes survivors 8 minutes and 20 seconds to go from a 0% evil to 100% evil. This allows
100% evil. We corrupted them.
And make for some fun.
If you teabag, doesn't go up even more.
Very far in the background, and you may never know he's even there unless you're really watching out for him. Survivors are punished for not being careful and keeping
infinite evil.
Also, of course, the slow but passive recharge of evil will always ensure that you can always have access to your power, even later in the match. Oni has infinite blood, so why can't Myers have unlimited stock?
Good question.
Let's talk about the actual
so I am right about that.
And how they function. Keep in mind each tier itself
I thought it worked that way, but I was just
power. So once you collect enough stock to get to the next level, you cannot use the power that came before. So if you go to level 3, you cannot use level 2. You are stuck on 3 and above. Evil within 1. Tier time, infinite. The shape is granted the undetectable status effect. The shape has a base movement speed of 4.4 meters a second.
Oh, he's 110 now. Okay.
And 10% movement speed.
I mean, that's fine,
Michael's
honestly.
reduction in lunge speed is no longer a part of the
I mean,
kit,
that's honestly
and
fine.
is more in line with how other 110% killers swing. This is a simple change that keeps Myers' tier 1 stealth ability still a key part of his power, but it's expanded
That's fine.
upon, as every time your timer runs out on any of the other tiers, you default back to 1. Also, we bumped up the movement speed from 105% as it's way too slow to
Yeah, okay, I see. So, like, you made tier 1 way better because we're always going back to tier 1. I see. Okay, I got you. So now tier 1 is, like, way more playable. Because tier 1 is something you're visiting more often. Okay. Gotcha.
Bear loops in this game. And I feel that 115% undetectable that could burst out a 60-second one-shot ability may be too oppressive. So we're gonna stick with 110%.
Yeah.
Now time to talk about the biggest change in all of this, and that comes from tier 2 Myers. So stick with me here.
Okay.
Evil Within 2. Tier time, 45 seconds.
It's limited
Movement
now?
Speed, 115%.
Okay.
The shape has a reduced terror radius of 16 meters. The shape has a reduced vaulting speed of 1.48 seconds. Pallet break speed is set to 2 seconds.
Okay.
Stalking a survivor in Evil Within 2 allows Michael to consume the tier, regardless of the time left, to permanently victimize a survivor.
Consume the
Victimized survivors' auras can be seen regardless of range while stalking in Tier 2 of Evil Within. While victimized survivors'
What is
auras
victimize,
are
though?
revealed in Evil Within 2, Michael can channel all of his focus and evil to teleport 16 meters out of line of sight of the victimized survivor,
that's kinda cool.
consuming the rest of Tier 2.
That's kinda
During
cool.
this time, Michael has double the increased breathing sound for 30 seconds. So let's break this
That's
down
cool.
a
I
little
like
bit.
that.
Basically, we have the original Tier 2, which is just an M1 killer with better stats. So a faster vault, a smaller terror radius, a net buff. But with this edition, I feel an added pallet break speed seems like a good way to add a bit more chase potential to Michael. Especially since Tier 2 Myers is now a limited time event, even if it is easy to get. But the real
Popularity, she looks back, yeah.
victimization effect. This was added for
That's
dual
thematic.
purposes. First, let's start off for the gameplay reasons. One of Michael's biggest weaknesses, besides his feet being caked in mud for the first minute or so of the match, is map pressure. Even when Michael is in his most dangerous form, he could be away from you across the map, so there is no need to worry. If you hear his terror radius, run early, and very likely you can outlast his tier 3. So I thought of adding a way for Michael to at least get the chance to apply pressure around the map if he really needs to, was important in this edition. But with his power and the character of Michael, it is important for it to be a special and infrequent kind of ability, which kind of brings us back to how it plays into his character. Michael, just as much as he's a ruthless beast able to 1v6 fully armed firefighters is part of his character, so is dispatching enemies who are unknowing of his presence. So accentuating that more in his power. Instead of just stalking to get his ability, stalking is a part of his power. Once Michael wants you, he just seems to know where you are, and you can.
That's a brutal death in that movie. That's brutal.
He will come for you. He also seems to just have the scattered ability to always cut off a survivor he's seeking. Kind of like he's teleporting. So we don't know how exactly, but Michael just knows where his prey is, and he can get to them in ways we just can't know. So being able to focus on a target he has chosen to victimize seems right in line with how Michael operates. Also, just a note before moving forward, Michael can only see survivors' auras in Tier 2 Myers. This would not be an all-game wall hacks for Tier 3. Evil Within 3.
The more reasons to play the theme is cool with me. I'm down with it just so I can hear that sound more.
Tier time, 60 seconds. All survivors suffer from the exposed status effect for 60 seconds. The shape has a normal terror radius of 32 meters. The shape has an increased lunge attack open time of 0.6 seconds, increasing his range. The shape has a reduced vault of 1.27 seconds. The shape has a pallet break of 2
I like the
seconds.
added pallet break.
The only difference in this tier from
Especially
what we have
Snowbone
now is the 2-second pallet break that carries over from tier 2. Evil Within 4.
Okay. They brought back that sound! It's a
All
good sound.
survivors suffer from the exposed status effect for 60
It's here,
seconds.
Bear.
The shape now has a
friend.
terror
Good to
radius
see you.
of 40 meters. The shape has an increased lunge attack open time of 0.6 seconds, increasing its range. The shape has a reduced vault speed
Okay, so
of
this is the same
1.27
as the Terrorist.
seconds. The shape has a pallet break of 1.5 seconds. The shape can block any vault he takes for the next 20
We're giving him a lot of
seconds.
base kit perks, I see.
Survivors hit with Michael's attack during tier 4 gain 1 stack of Disturbed. After 2 stacks
What is
of
this?
Disturbed, this allows Michael to kill the survivor with his next attack. Similar to
Making
how he
Tomb
does
base
with
kit?
Tombstone and Tombstone Piece.
Or not Tombstone, or like base
Disturbed
kit, but
lasts
like...
for the remainder of the trial. This is going to be a controversial change for the fact that, spoiler, I've removed Michael's insta-kill add-ons.
Okay, but that's a good thing.
This being Judith's Tombstone and Tombstone Piece.
But trying to make it part of his base
These
kit.
are for sure
a
a
la,
fun
like,
build to
Sonica,
play on Myers,
or
but
like,
overall are not a good thing for the game.
yeah.
For some simple reasons I'll go over now. They make the overall match pretty dull for both sides, and when a kill does actually happen, it's just kind of out of nowhere, and sometimes without warning. Not very fun to go.
The precision is definitely
But
worn
on the
off.
flip
It doesn't
side,
feel cool
you have
anymore.
Michael players who can't even get a kill because the survivors just hop in a locker if you get too close and just do that the entire match. This just boils down to camping the survivor you're forced to hook, and the whole buildup of the match didn't even get you a kill outside of hook. But, Michael would lose a big piece of himself if his kills mid-match were removed. After around 6 to 7 years in this game, his insta-kills are a big part of his identity. So this change
They're
is to
not
unify and
infamy,
hopefully
it's not
remove a
fame.
bit of
These are
frustration
different.
on both sides. Now you will be able to see the insta-kill coming and have a chance to work against it. And for Michael, you can still play insta-kill style whenever you want, but now you have more tools in your belt to make the match even more interesting to play. And maybe you decide, going for kills this match isn't what I want to do. Now I want to play like this, and you have the ability to, instead of just kind of eating the loss. Also, to make tier 4 a little bit more spicy, we've added the incentive of 0.5 seconds removed from pallet breaks and a built-in bamboozle, so you're likely to get those hits that you need with the power that took a little longer to obtain. So overall, that's
'cause you have
the
to stock
power.
even more
Let's
to even
quickly
get here.
go over the add-ons and let's wrap this up. Tacky Earrings. This add-on is unchanged. Memorial Flower increases stock rate by 6%. Boyfriend's Memo increases victimization teleport speed by 10%. Blonde
cool.
Hair increase the duration of Evil Within 2 by 5 seconds, but earn 5% less stock overall. Reflective Fragment apply hemorrhage until next full health state.
Nobody cares about hemorrhage add-ons. Hemorrhage add-ons. Stay with me. Fuck hemorrhage add-ons. Make it do something different. Anyways. That's like the only huge disagreement I've had, and it's not even a big deal. It's just like hemorrhage add-ons are bad. Don't make them.
Jewelry.
Don't make them.
This add-on is unchanged. Hairbrush. The duration of Evil Within 2 is increased by 10 seconds, but you earn 10% less stock overall. Glass Fragment. Apply Mangled until next full health state.
See, Mangled
Red
makes
Rabbit.
sense. That one's dumb.
Reduces the shape's terror radius by 15% in Evil Within 2, but increases the terror radius by 15% in Evil Within 3 and 4. Mirror Shard. Survivors who do a rushed action while being stalked by Michael Myers are exhausted for 60
That's a good idea.
seconds.
I like that.
Judith's Journal increases the stock rate on the obsession by 25%. Jewelry
bad.
Box. This add-on is unchanged.
I wonder why, because the
Jane
movies be
Myers
that ones are not that great.
increases stock rate by 15%. Hairbow increases the duration of tier 2 by 15 seconds. Earn 15% less stock from survivors overall. Vanity Mirror. Michael loses the ability to mark survivors for victimization, but moves at 100%
That's fun.
movement speed for the duration.
That's
of
fun. I like
tier
that.
2.
You're just fast as
Tombstone Piece. Victimization teleport reduces the total amount of tier within 2 by 25% instead of a full tier. Scratched Mirror Michael's base speed is set to 4.2 meters a second.
Really slow.
The shape is unable to progress past evil within 1. Grants 200% bonus blood points for each hit in the devious and brutality.
Okay, so it's kind of keeping scratch
Lock of
marks.
hair. Increases the duration of all tiers by 20 seconds. Earn 30%
Making lock of hair good?
SR
Unheard of.
From all
No, this
survivors.
add-on's dead forever.
Judith
Leave it. Leave it.
Tombstone. Victimization teleport freezes the tier 2 timer for the total teleport duration. Essentially meaning you don't lose any tier 2 when teleporting. Fragrant tuft of hair. Grants unlimited duration of tier 3. Requires 400% more evil to reach tier 3 from tier 2.
Okay, so
And there we go. Updated mine.
I don't know. I feel like Infinite tier 3 is kind of one of the lamer add-ons as well. Like Tombstone is obviously the boogeyman, no pun intended, because it's just like it just aces you out of the game instantly. But like, also just it's just being tier 3 the whole game is also kind of like a snooze fest in a lot of ways. So like, I would have changed that to something else.
I like this change a lot, as I think it incorporates more of his stealth capabilities rather than his just all-out killing power. Michael is a great combination of stealth and strength.
Too much Office.
Tries to focus
I was
on
in my
stealth
early
initially,
20s.
but once
Michael!
that fails, good luck stopping him. And I think this kid reflects that way.
Yeah, because like the idea of like reworking Myers is so he's more fun to not to only to play as but to go against. And for survivors, it basically boils down to, is he going to tombstone me or is he an infinite tier 3? Like you almost never run into Myers that are running like double stock or stock hairbow. Like it's always infinite tombstone, and those are your options. So
more than it does now.
increasing the diversity would
And
be
it's
nice.
probably a lot more fun to play with. Maybe not. I don't know. Let me down below if you think you like these changes, or tell me what issues there are with them, because if there are some things that I'm not seeing right now, I'd like to know them, so maybe I can update this. So this was the first part of my rework series. I wanted to start with Michael, because he was the biggest name, and he has the most need of a change. But we still have Freddy coming in a couple days here, and then after
Vanity
that,
is just
Twins.
kind of bad.
I have a
problem.
couple
It's fun,
other
but it's
names
bad.
on the list that I want to look at, but I'm not going to commit to anything unless I actually have a good power idea or a good rework in mind. But
As you should.
yeah, Skull Merchant's definitely on there.
As she should be.
She's the one I want to workshop the most.
Good.
But anyways, thank you for watching. I'm Dustaroo, and I'll see you all real soon. Bye.
Oh god, let's not
Bye.
zoom in on Felix like that. So like we had kind of like, I like the idea of like teleporting. I like the idea that he actually teleports and moves, because that's kind of something he does in the films. That was probably the one that stuck out to me the most. They're kind of similar ideas, really. I feel like they could almost like meld these ideas that I have with the ones that they have, because like, I mean, realistically, you could apply a lot of this stuff to like, because he was talking about like victimizing the survivor. Like we already have that idea, but through the paranoia system of like, the more they are stalked, bad things happen to them. Maybe if somebody is like fully stalked or very, very low in stock, you unlock the ability to teleport to them. Maybe it's something we can add to our little system that we're doing. I like a lot, because he needs in general like a lot of quality of life changes, like, you know, having tier 1 not be so punishing and stuff like that. And I like that was stuff that I saw here. And I liked the idea of like the teleport's probably, like I said, the teleport's the thing that kind of stuck out to me the most. I'm kind of iffy on the idea of like adding, once again, another like, oh, I can moor you before 3 hooks character into the game, because like that's always been kind of like a struggle, right? Like people, like it's either like, okay, well I'm a killer main and I want survivors to blah blah blah, so I'm okay with like slug Sadakos doing their condemn stuff. And now there are a lot of people that are upset because condemning is so much easier now, and they're mad, and it's just like, it just kind of like causes a lot of strife in the community, you know, when a character can kill you before the 3 hooks or a thing. People don't really care too much about Pyramid. Pyramid kind of flies under the radar because he still has to hook you 3 times. He may have the ability to tunnel you into that 3rd hook, but he still has to go through the 3 hook cycle to get his special Mori. So yeah, he kind of is mostly okay. But like Sadako's the one that people have, since she's been out, people have been going back and forth on, is that cool, is that neat? Some people are all for it and very mad at people who hate it. Some people hate it and they're very mad at the people who like it, and it's just kind of gonna cause a lot of strife, a lot of you know, discourse between people. So I would be hesitant to add that, but yeah, that's like the only thing I'm like hesitant about with these ideas, is that you got to be careful about how you implement that, because you don't want to create more of that situation that we already have to have discussions about and discourse about with Shadoko. I would hate to have to talk and potentially have more complaining and distress among people, like with that situation. So yeah, I'd be a little careful about that. The rest of us I'm totally cool with, and honestly aligns a lot with what we've said about our paranoia system that we would want to implement. Obviously, I'm probably gonna lift that idea for teleporting as like a punishment for like running completely out of stock. I do think that survivors should actively do something to get their stock back. I think just kind of like being punished for something that you don't have the ability to change, or it's just kind of on a passive cooldown, is kind of you kind of want to be able to do something about it. So I would make it some sort of like gameplay thing where, like, you know, it's something that they can kind of like try to optimize a bit, not optimize the fun out of it, but be like, okay, well, it's smart if I break out of, or I try to regain stock at this point in the match, or okay, well, you know, it's good that, you know, I regain my stock here. And also on the flip side, you can regain stock at bad times. Like, for example, if they're in tier 2 and they're about to hit tier 3, and you know that, like my friend calls out, hey, he stalked me a lot. He stalked me a lot. I think he's about to hit tier 3, and you choose to regain your stock at that moment. You essentially just gave him a free tier 3. Like, give it an opportunity to play it badly too. Give it the opportunity to be played well, but also give it the opportunity to be played bad and be like, okay, who fed the Myers? You know, like, who gave him his tier 3? Create some fun little, you know, moments and interactions like that, you know? That way he's fun, because that Myers, to a much lesser extent, because he is so bad, does get a bad rap sometimes, mostly because of Tombstone, but also because sometimes you do just kind of like, you don't know the Myers is about to be tier 3 and he just shows up and just clocks you because the random in the match was dumb, and you're just like, well, that's kind of stupid. But like, if you had a little bit more interactivity with the whole stock system as a whole, you can be like, oh, well, like, you know, I regained my stock at a bad time. That was kind of crappy of me, you know? Something like that. Just make him a little bit more fun to face as well. Yeah, I feel like it feels so close to greatness, you know? Like, I like my idea. I also like Dustaroo's idea. I think either would be great. Honestly, I feel like a fusion of the two would be the best. But like, you imagine a world with like Myers being this cool and actually being this entertaining? Like, that sounds great. I'd be down for that. And he could be like one of the more fun characters to play as and against in the game, and it's like right there, like we're right on the precipice. It's just you gotta stop like just leaving Myers in the dust, in the dark, and not like paying attention to him at all. And you can make a really, really cool killer out of this that feels actually like super immersive and fun to play as and against. But it's just like all that potential's left on the table, which is, you know, something we feel very, very familiar about. You know, a certain Fredward that exists in the game that is one of the most creative and charismatic slasher killers to ever exist, and also like has zero personality in his kid. Like, very, very similar situation with him. But that's another video that this person has made, so maybe we'll watch that bad boy.